What's going on, everybody? Triple Crown 24 back today with a video that will probably be more reminiscent of a Those Back Pages video than a Triple Crown 24 video, because today's episode is all about cards in my collection that are important to me and why they are important to me. One of the key things about this video is that I'm going to be showing cards that I have shown at least once on camera before. There will probably be some that you have not seen if you might have missed one of my videos. I know that everyone doesn't watch every single one of my videos, so you're bound to see probably a couple of new cards at least, but for the most part, it's going to be stuff that I've shown before. Some stuff I've shown multiple times, some cards I even put on camera in my last video. So let's go ahead and get into it. Kind of talk about some things along the way. So this year I was fortunate enough to complete this set that was very important to me. I started it 6 years ago and I finally finished it off. It's a Triple Crown relic set, and I proudly display them in my man cave. We'll show off all 10 of the relics here. Why this is important to me is because one of these that you're about to see here was a card that I actually pulled as a redemption in a pack, and it kind of started me on this journey of collecting all of these cards. In fact, it was this one right here that I pulled myself. And when I really started collecting Cabrera in terms of being a super collector, it was one of the cards that I thought I really want to do this set, because the Triple Crown years is really the big reason why I started super collecting them. It was just such a monumental part of my Tigers fandom, and I really hadn't had a favorite player in a long time in baseball, besides when I was younger. And then after this season, Cabrera really took that mantle for me, where he became my guy, kinda. And then several years later, here I am super collecting him and devoting a large part of my collection to his cards. So those cards are very important to me because they really represent the origins of how I got into super collecting. It's not always the most valuable cards as well that are important to me. So to kind of show some stuff off, here are some gifts. This was a gift that was given to me by my dad when he was still around. This was the very first Miguel Cabrera autograph that I ever had in my collection, way before I started super collecting them. Years later, I added some more from some fellow YouTubers. In fact, I've got a slabbed one here somewhere. Pull them out here for you. For example, this came from Mike O. Submitted it to the PSA himself, and then eventually wound up in my mailbox by surprise. It means a lot to me. Love the Topps 3D. Here's a card I got not too long ago. Came from baseball collector Mike. Here's a card from Those Back Pages Eric. 2019 Donruss Optic Gold. Card that I'm looking to complete the rainbow of at some point. I'll show you the gold vinyl here again in a little bit. Here's the 2014 Heritage Hot Box Purple Chrome Refractor that was given to me by Donnie the Murph 398 when I went to the Indie Card Show a couple weekends ago. So here's why this card's important to me. There are a lot of purple Chrome Refractor 2014 Heritage Miguel Cabrera cards out there. It's not a super difficult card to find. It's just one that I had not gotten around to adding to my collection. And if I would have picked it up on my own, it really wouldn't have been... I wouldn't have brought it out for this video, because it's just kind of, I have several purple refractors at this point in time, and they are cool looking cards. I do enjoy them. I enjoy all my Miggy cards, but there's nothing that really stands out besides those things that are kind of common across my collection. This card was given to me by a friend, as were these cards right here. And I have a very bad memory, but I do remember when people do nice things for me. And I try really hard to remember where each card came from. I actually have started keeping a list of where I got certain Cabreras in my collection, and I'll probably reference that list at a video sometime in the future. But these cards all have extra value. I could have picked any of these up on my own. There's nothing here that's crazy rare. I mean, this one's numbered to 10, so it's going to be a little bit harder to find, but there's nothing here that would be way out of my budget or anything, but they would not have meant nearly as much coming from a fellow YouTuber who spent their hard-earned money and their time to send it to me. And that to me is something that's invaluable. That's why these cards hold so much value to me in my collection. Not necessarily the big high-end cards. I'll show you some of those right here. These are the cards that I have up on display. Of course, my Superfractor. I'm very proud to own all of these. These cards get a lot of showcase time. My card that kind of solidified my status as a super collector. NT Patch Auto. One of my favorite autographs, my museum collection. My White Whale. Of course, I always love my one-of-ones. And my gold vinyl. All these cards are very important to me as well, just because I invested a lot of my hard-earned money, and some of them required some intense bidding wars or negotiations with best offers going back and forth to secure. And just kind of those battles on eBay to get them, add some extra meaning to them. Plus, they're cards that I can really be proud of. If you're asking me to show you some of the highlights of my collection, these are usually the cards I'm going to go to kick things off. Might also show you, of course, the big three that you guys are very familiar with, including my Crown Jewel card there in the center. And I talked about this at great length during my national recap and then my big three video. This middle card right here has so much extra meaning to it because it will really be the card that encapsulates the 2019 National for me. I bought it within 1 hour of showing up at the show. I was there with Mark from Stove Sports, Andy from Sheep Blind to Me with Refractors, and Eric from Those Back Pages. And they were all there to experience that card with me. And the really cool thing is that because it happened in the first hour, almost everyone who I encountered throughout the show got to hold this card and look at it with me because they wanted to see it. And pretty sure Eric Those Back Pages started telling everybody about it too, because I had a lot of people coming up to me asking like, hey, I heard you got a big card. Can we see it? So Eric was my hype man for sure on that, and he's the one who kind of he pushed me to get it too, and I'm very thankful that he did because I probably would have regretted it if I didn't buy it. But that's just going to have so much more meaning to me than if I were to buy it off of eBay and have it arrive in the mail. I have no problem buying cards off of eBay. Obviously, every single card can't have a huge moment behind it, but it's those kind of things that add that intangible value to some of these cards, like this one right here. So that autograph means more than it ever possibly could. Even if this was, if you could tell me right now that you would give me a BGS 1010 black label, and all I had to do was trade this card right here, I wouldn't do it because of what this card means in the journey and the friendship that went into acquiring it. So that's what that card means to me outside of it being the Holy Grail card in my collection. Speaking of Eric, we've brought up his name a lot. This is his favorite card in my collection. I just love the shine on it. So it's pretty valuable to me. Here's a card that BRoff6 reached out to me about in a Raz on Facebook. I actually wasn't a member of the group, and he offered to join it for me, and I reimbursed him for it, of course. And we ended up winning. And then he got the card sent to me, which was just an incredibly cool move on his behalf. This is one of the tougher ones to get from the year 2000 that I needed still at that point in time. And I won it for about a fifth of what I was wanting to pay for it. So you can't really go wrong with that. First time trying a Raz on this card, and it worked out. So I'm also going to have the memory of his generosity and willingness to help me out and just having my back, looking out for a fellow collector. And I find that very often, where a lot of people will message me about certain Miggy cards now because they know that's my guy. And I apologize in advance. I'm not showing off every card, or at least one card that each YouTuber has sent me. That will be something that I'm going to try to do a video of at some point in time. I don't know when, but it's an idea I have in terms of cards in this particular piece of my collection. Here's some slabs of just some really cool looking cards. Now, these are not the most valuable cards in my collection. They're not the most valuable slabs I have in my collection. They're certainly in the upper echelon, I would say. But they're both just really good looking cards overall. And I really enjoy looking at both of them, and I'm very proud to own both of them. This is the super short print 2017 Topps and a 2018 Chrome Sapphire. Cards that I remember very intimately bidding on and acquiring, and just very proud to own those cards. Then there are some of the oddballs. Some cards that maybe bring up some memories, such as this one right here. 2011 Topps, I forget what they call these things. This is like the diamond die cut. I pretty much love all the gimmicks from 2011 Topps. The diamond anniversary promotion was, I think, the best promotion that Topps has come out with, or I know they haven't done all that many in the 2000s, or at least in recent years, but I have to say, out of all the gimmicks they've done, this is probably one of my favorite, is the diamond-based stuff. And this card is just beautiful. I'm very happy to have owned it. It's a card that maybe isn't worth as much as some of my cards in the magnetics, but it's just a card where I remember from when I was younger really wanting and never being able to get. I know that's a feeling that a lot of us have in the community. Here's my black printing plate. Again, I have very fond memories of opening 2011 Update, and some not so fond memories of selling my Mike Trouts that I saw eventually grade out to True Gem BGS 9.5s for about $30 to $50 a piece. Not my best decision in the hobby for sure, but a lot of fond memories just opening that product, and now to have a piece of my favorite player that was used to actually create what has become a very lore-based product in 2011 Topps Update. Really like these cards a lot. I love the mini frosted holders. That kind of adds a little bit more to them. How you display a card can really add to its visual appeal. I put every card in a magnetic if I could afford it and I had the space to do so, but I don't, so I'm very selective sometimes with my magnetics. Not overly selective, but I don't put every single thing in a magnetic for sure. Top loader and perfect fit sleeve will do just fine most of the time. But I love these little mini stained glass cards from this year's Ginter. I love this card too. It's my 2019 5-star silver signatures. When 5-star first came out many years ago, it was a product that was kind of way beyond what I could ever imagine. Opening up myself or buying singles from the product, it was kind of just way too much out of my range, especially being a younger fellow. I still am pretty young, but that's besides the point. I actually have an income now where I can go out and acquire cards like these. Not every single day, but when the opportunity is right and I'm able to make a responsible decision and be able to acquire one of these, I'll definitely go out and get a nice piece to my collection like this one right here. You also have those milestone cards as well. We've got two more to show off here before I kind of wrap it up. This super short print, which I actually just saw one listed on eBay today for $10, buy it now. And I paid, well, this one was marked at $25. I think I paid $15 for it. But this was my 1000th unique Miggy card, and I'm never going to forget that. It's also one of the cards that will help me remember the National for a long time to come. Not that I was planning on forgetting it anyways, but it's definitely gonna be one of those cards that is a symbolic representation of the show. And the last card, this one right here, I acquired at a show locally about a month ago. And this hobby has really, as my channel has grown and my name has grown within the community, I've ran across a lot more people who really admire my dedication and my quote-unquote focus to Miguel Cabrera. And whenever I go to shows and I ask for his cards with certain dealers and I tell them about my super collecting, this particular dealer actually offered me this card for about 15 bucks cheaper than what I was going to offer him for it. And it was, even then, still like cheaper than eBay prices. So I got it for a much bigger deal than I would have gotten on eBay, and I got to see it in person. That kind of thing you can't put a price on. But people are very willing to help me on my journey. Ever since I launched the 2K by 2020 video series and I started telling people about it, I've had so much support and so many people trying to find cards for me that I don't have. I get at least a couple Facebook messages every week from people asking if I need certain Cabrera cards, or linking me or tagging me to posts to try to get cards that might be of interest. And that means a lot to me. That just people have my back. And I've done that before too with people. A lot of times I actually just go out and buy the card and then I send it to you in a care package and surprise you later on. But I've kind of slowed down with that a little bit. I just haven't had as much funds lately to be able to do that. But maybe around the holiday season I'll start surprising some people with some stuff again. But so many people willing to help me. That really helps me remember some of these cards and adds even more value to them. So let me just put up a couple of cards here. You know what I'll do? I'll put up the cards that fellow YouTubers gave me. There we go. Glare's a little bit bad on these, but you get the point. Let me see if I can adjust it. Alright, well, we're just going to roll with it as it is because you guys got to see them up close anyways. So yeah, the point of this video is, well, there's multiple points. Number one is that I have a lot of different cards in my collection that have different meanings to me. And a lot of times people wonder with player collecting or just collecting in general how to retain the value on their collection. There are safe bets. I can tell you right now that vintage is most of the time a very safe bet because it usually only goes up unless there are certain circumstances where maybe that might not be the case. But for the most part, a lot of vintage is a safe bet. There's no guarantees in the hobby, but that's about as close as you're going to get. For me, my mindset is mostly just whenever I buy a card, if it were to be, I don't know, accidentally tossed into a shredder the very next day that I bought it, and I could never recover it again, I would be okay with taking a financial loss. When my cards enter my collection, their monetary value goes to zero because I'm never looking to really sell these. I know that a lot of times when I'll go to shows, people will tell me that Cabrera, it's a really good time to invest in him right now, which is true. I really do believe that, and I might do a video on current player buying cycles and when's a good time to buy certain guys. Cabrera, Pujols, Ichiro, Beltre, those are the kind of guys who I think right now are probably some of the best guys to invest in terms of value. Jeter, somewhat as well, but you've got a very small window to go on that. I say you got until next January to be able to cash in on that before that value is no longer there for the most part. But for me, I enjoy collecting Cabrera stuff because I have a lot of fond memories, and it's a player that I have developed a personal connection with. And with that, I don't ever get burned in my eyes on anything. There have been times that I've overpaid for a card and seen it up cheaper? Oh, you bet. It's happened more frequently than I want to admit to. But I've been able to secure these cards knowing that and acknowledging that risk and knowing that I won't be perfect in my collecting ways. Not that there is a way to be perfect anyways, but I'm okay with that because I really enjoy the cards, enjoy the friendships that have become symbolic through those cards, like these ones right here. The other part of it too is that I didn't show you anything today that I haven't already shown on camera before. And this is something that comes up a lot more frequently than I normally would think would, as people are hesitant to show stuff that they've already shown on camera before. And that, it makes sense to me in the sense that you don't want to show the same thing over and over again. But there are a lot of channels out there who do this really well, where they show off stuff in new ways. There's 1,000 different ways to show off a card. The one that we most commonly go to is when we get it in the mail. But part of the great part of this community, there's a lot of great parts, but one of them happens to be being able to share your collection and share what you know about the cards that you acquire with everybody else and be able to take pride in them. Pride's kind of a tricky thing, but you should have pride in your collection. And I definitely do in mine, and I think it shows in my videos, and a lot of people are able to celebrate my collection because they know how much it means to me. There are very few people out there who also collect Miguel Cabrera, but they can appreciate my dedication and my focus and what the player means to me and what the collection means to me. That's kind of how we develop certain connections on YouTube. And I can show off, for example, let me try to locate it here. I have so many different stacks. I have shown off this card so many times now. And the original video where I showed it off, I think is sitting around like 40 views. So technically, if we assume that everyone who viewed that as a unique viewer who watched it all the way through, which I would highly doubt that, at the most, 40 people saw the original video where I showed that off. And that was back in October of last year, where I had less than 200 subscribers. Now I'm nearing 600. So that's almost triple the number of people who have found my channel since then and have watched my content. And there are people who watch my videos that aren't even subscribed. And a lot of people who have come along who probably have not gone back. I have such a massive library of just a lot of videos. A lot of TTMs and a lot of top strength videos. And sometimes it's hard to pick out certain ones from the past to go back and watch on my channel, and YouTube in general, but especially on my channel. So a lot of people might not be familiar with this card. And usually every time I show it, at least one person comments that they think the Superfractor is really cool. And it's someone who has not seen it before. And I get to share this card with them. And each time I get to show it, it kind of helps preserve the memory of it and help recreate the excitement that I got when I first opened up the mailbox and pulled it out of the bubble mailer that it came in. So I would say that, there's a healthy balance for sure, but you don't have to be limited to just showing a card one time on YouTube. That doesn't mean you have to show off everything that you have right away if you're just making a channel or you're about to go make a video now showing off your entire collection. You've got time. There's no race really to the finish line of YouTube. It's a marathon. But don't be afraid to show off cards that you have already shown before. There are different ways to present them. There are always new eyeballs coming to your channel. New people to interact with and new people to share your collection with and to experience their collection as well. So that's just kind of my little message today. I went pretty long today. Hopefully you stick around until the end, but I thought that this was an important video to make, and it's a video topic I'd like to encourage you guys to do a similar video of as well if you're interested. But that's all for me today. I'll be sure to see you guys next time. Until then, have yourselves a good one.